Alright, so let's start with showcasing a couple of things. Like this particular armor set that I'm having is obtained only in Challenge Mode 2, because you need to play the game 3 times to get all the armor sets. Next, let me showcase the Metamorphosis weapon. For this that you get by finishing all the Clank mission, the Mutator. It turns things into cows.
Which leave milk after you kill them.
But at max upgrade, it turns the first target into a giant bull. Oh, Jesus. It's relatively
honestly, them leaving their milk behind, that feels to me even more morbid than if they left blood behind.
Honestly, it's just missing this splorch sound effect from that Dreamcast Ring video game.
Oh boy.
Anyway, here's the Rhino instead. As you can see, it still automizes everything on screen.
So is there any benefit to that eyesore mode
Yes,
that Ratchet's in?
Well, it's not technically eyesore. It basically makes it's literally an in-universe chameleon like armor. The afterglow serves to temporarily distract enemy fire.
So basically, it makes it so that they can't detect you.
Well, more like they shoot the previous position where you have. If you still manage to keep running, you should be able to be hit less. But if you return here, we have the giant enemy crab.
Attack its weak point for massive damage.
Or I can just shoot it,
Apparently that one can track better where you've been.
Well, mostly because it's a bigger line, but as you can see, it's still a pushover. Oh well. Still a cute Easter egg, though. Alright, let me use this to also showcase stuff like, if I recall correctly, the skins. We have the Tropical Vacation, which is rushing a swimwear and having some abs, goddamn.
Holy cow, Ratchet, how many crunches you been doing?
A pirate costume with a mustache and an eye patch.
I swear, pirate costumes are one of the most common
and
costumes
Godzilla Pursuit. On the PS2 version, you also get the Snowman costume and one skin based on Dan Johnson. Anyway, here are the different armor sets. The basic one is the Wildfire, it even tells you how much damage reduction you have. The Sludgem K9 is for poison. The Crystallix, like I said, produces crystal on contact. The Electroshock is, well, about electricity, duh. The Mega Bomb is the most powerful in the base game. Like I said, it absorbs one hit and then you can relax it. The Hyperborian is for Challenge Mode 1, which is ice-themed. And the Chameleon one, like I said, is for Challenge Mode 2, and it's basically a ninja outfit, an equivalent to that. Again, it has the highest armor degree, but combined when you get stuff, for example, the Firebomb, using the gloves of the fire set, the Shock Crystal, by combining Crystallix and Electroshock Wild Burst, Triple Wave, which combines a couple of the effects, Ice 2, more powerful, and finally the Stalker armor, which is technically the most powerful armor, but the effect kind of sucks because it combines all of the energy into the Omni Wrench, and so if you manage to hit one, it gets simultaneously burned, poisoned, and extra damage from the Chameleon. But at the same time, the point you obtain this, hitting things in your Omni Wrench is the least thing that you want to do to defeat an enemy. So it's bragging rights reward. I love it. Ratchet is holding him up. He's like, I did something. Alright, let's check instead. The skill points. I didn't bother to obtain everything because, again, you don't really need them. Here's some of the cheats. Big Head, okay, normal. If I recall correctly, there's one about. Also, this Super Bloom. Let's see what happens if I turn this on. Oh my god!
Why?
My eyes! Who thought this was a good idea?
Maybe they. Wait. When did this game come out?
2007, I think.
So
it's probably an in-universe joke.
Okay, so even though the PS3 was out by this point, maybe these guys really wanted to get into people's heads. Okay, this is what your games are gonna look like for this generation.
I think it probably was just a joke. Anyway, to get to the secret arena, as it's called, the High Impact Treehouse, you need to get to that teleporter. You are to get all of the skill points, or you need to stand on that specific platform at like something like 2:42 a.m. or something.
Oh,
Again,
time-based events
remember,
in
Jova, it
games.
continues the trend of Insomniac Museum. Even that could be accessed at ridiculous night times. But anyway,
to answer,
in true tradition, it is an actual treehouse where you can explore and have different there you go, text-based stuff. It's not voiced. The next game will actually have a voice developer commentary.
to answer your question, Teo, probably the same guy who thought it was a good idea to have the option to play Superman 64 with only 20% visibility.
Initially, several versions of you and me are drawn, and art and design work together, selecting traits they like from each drawing. Eventually, a final concept sketch is refined from all the previous suggestions and then sent to an artist to be modeled. Again, here they tell you basically the making of the stuff, that how things are made and what happened. Is that Chinese takeout food?
Looks like yummies. Wait, that looks like more like goldfish, just legally recolored to be blue.
I don't know about that, Joe. I'm not American.
Goldfish crackers, basically.
Okay.
So, High Impact, you don't have a big office, but you have a treehouse. Well done, developers.
Concept sketches for some of the vehicles, not all of which were ultimately made.
I can kind of get why this obviously has to be downscaled, because, once again, portable, not the main games.
Again, most of these vehicles are the ones that you face in the you actually do in the arena with Clank. But as said, some of these ultimately did not happen, like the one on the right now. Also, for some reason, in the presentation of the pictures, there's no music.
Like I said, I'm definitely chalking this up to them having to downscale with this game. So, they couldn't be as extravagant with the behind-the-scenes level like they were in the previous games.
Yeah. Again, the design is still, good enough to actually make it believable. It was from the base trilogy, I will say that, even if it's a different character designer.
Ratchet and Clank has a bit of a range in its art style.
Someone is a fan of Kerning gears, huh? Fuck this shit.
Well, let's see. That's both Deadlocked and now this game in a row where Courtney Gears has technically appeared.
The Birdactyl was one of the early moving objects in the game, called Mobies by us. Also made for the first playable. Since they were a prototype, they're pretty expensive to process. If we put them in the regular levels of the game, the frame rate will drop. Poor body is a bit overweight. We also have a giant Ratchet statue, but it means really nothing. I don't remember if you can actually shoot the Birdactyl, but this is also a good place actually to farm bolts, believe it or not, because you can just load. If you get here in challenge mode, you basically destroy the folding chairs to get bolts, and you can easily save and reload immediately to easy access to a lot of to the same chairs respawning, meaning that you can farm a fuck ton of bolts in just a few minutes if you really want. Let's get on the upper floor. Although designers make the layouts of levels, the look and colors of the levels are decided by art. Concept art plays a huge role in helping to visualize these decisions.
Very nice.
Like that concept art was all this. The mini turret was coded in basic form and working in the game, but ultimately we realized it would be very similar to the Bee Mine Glove. Although we all wanted to include the venerable mini turret, the Bee Mine was already created and working well, so the mini turret got deprioritized. I'm okay with this because the mini turret is more basic in design and was in previous games, while the Bee Glove actually gives a bit of a layer of personality to the game, so I'm fine with
What,
that.
you mean they didn't try and repeat power-ups, even though they were incredibly similar to one another? Damn, maybe
Originally,
Bell...
there were to be 3 new elite clones in the arena before Auto chases you. It turned out all 3 types had rather short-range weapons, so instead we included the Lacerator clone as the third variety. He was satisfyingly challenging, so this giant hand clone never got past the hard stage.
Oof.
And we can actually have a bunch of different animation for this guy. If you remember, it's the one that I told you that shows up in the final cutscene.
Yeah, he shows up to like the far right.
It was going to be more physical.
Oh well, what you gonna do?
There are a lot of Ratchet and Clank fans in Japan, and a major Comic-Con, Koro Koro Comic, had a fan art contest for Ratchet skins. Here are some of the top entries. All the drawings are from younger preteen contestants. This actually is not the last time that it's gonna happen, by the way.
Nice.
Specifically, there you go, the outfit, including the packs, so we actually kept those. That's cute.
Mm-hmm.
A Judogi outfit and a Sentai transformation one. More delinquent one based. The
Hunt the
Bancho.
door and everything.
Yeah. A fursuit and a trash can. Some of these actually will show up in later games again. A chili pepper one and a shark suit. A samurai one and a chef one. Because you're wondering, these type of contests are not too uncommon. A lot of Yu-Gi-Oh cards for support later on actually are designed by young fans. And a proper... apparently the trash can design is one of the more consistent one, probably for comedy's sake.
Cute.
As you can see also this, they kept the big eyebrows.
Of course he did.
Oh well, at least some of them did made it, so there's that. This is a giant bulldozer that was generated for our first playable, a demo level that proves the game engine and idea work. It chased you down a city street and smashed through buildings as it went along. And I'm imagining Ratchet having to say, rolling around at the speed of sound.
I was going to say, well, at least, yeah, because, you know, again, in terms of Western series being popular in Japan, there aren't that many.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to see one that. So it's nice to see another one that is alongside Crash, Thomas the Tank Engine, and other things, as I'm sure there are.
And look at that, a photo of the developers. And apparently a blanket on the chair. I don't know what that represents. Someone fell asleep.
It represents luxury.
Don't worry about the bulldozer, it cannot actually harm you, it's just there for testing purposes.
Imagine something actually was able to harm you in one of the studio levels.
Alright, as the last thing, we have an extra set of Clank challenges that we can go. So let's go through them to conclude things, shall we? If I recall correctly, these were also fan-created, but they're basically the toughest in the game, and basically bragging rights reward because they only give you bolts, basically. And to be fair, under normal circumstances, you're supposed to get in here because you earn all the skill points, so there is that.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Again, you really have to strategize with what you get with the gadget bots in this.
Wow, this 8-bit music sounds a little bit more advanced.
Well, that's because it's from Nier Automata, what during one of the hacking sequences. Basically, what Keiichi Okabe did is to record two versions of the soundtrack. One, the basic one. Okay, technically three because there's the instrumental one, then there's the one with the actual singing, and then there's the 8-bitified one that serves during the hacking sequences. It's not there for the entire soundtrack, but for a good chunk of it.
Mm-hmm.
You also have to keep, an eye out on the altitude where your gadget bots can fall. They can actually deal with a decent enough amount of falling damage, but not a lot. It's better than you think, but worse than you hope. So you need to actually watch out because you might underestimate and just, lead an entire column them smashing on the ground.
Look at him go.
Like there's no tomorrow. I'm still also making it look relatively easy, but there is basically an art into solving these, so don't worry, it's just for the sake of showcasing how it's done.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember how long it took me during the original, when I was playing these back on the PSP. So, but it's still relatively, especially because, mind you, again, even without the replay functionality, which I didn't even bother to use that, for these puzzles, you will just have a simply restart puzzle option right from the get-go. So, and those do not really take that long to actually either screw up or perform generally. So it really is just a case where you can just, restart it properly.
Makes sense.
Last one.
Yeah, with this, these are puzzles that definitely make you try to think well and ahead of time.
It's also a matter of trying to select the corresponding gadget bots in time for you to do it. It's not as simple as it may appear. So it probably is out better with the analog stick rather than the D-pad because actually that. Anyway, there you go. That's it. We're done. So that's technically it for the game. We already did our final thoughts, and that's basically all there is to it. But a few years after this, High Impact did another Ratchet Clank games, one that is technically better and worse at the same time, depending on who you ask. But that's what I have to see. Tune in next time, where we actually see what happens in one episode of Secret Agent Clank. See ya.
Then,